Hey.
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing great. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I have it on 100.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How's life?
Huh?
How's life?
Good.
Little tired from work.
Are you? Did you have to stop working for COVID stuff, or have you worked through it?
We worked through it.
Both of you?
Both of us. You know, we work at the same company, and both of us have been steady through March, since March.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is in healthcare. Like, you have to keep going.
Yeah, there's no stopping, is there?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, I really appreciate you guys agreeing to come on and talk. The one thing that I have never done with Starfish is, I've told stories. People submit their stories and they tell them, and I've always done it in a blog form.
Yeah.
But it literally just within a few days ago dawned on me, why am I not doing this where people can actually tell their story? It's just so much more impactful when they can put a face to who's going through it and what it truly means, especially if they've never experienced it.
Absolutely.
It's always great to hear stories of people that have been to the other side of it, like me. I've found success and I've told my story, but it's hard to find people that are in their journey, still in the middle of it, that are willing to really have kind of that raw conversation about it. And there's no judgment. I was one of those people. I shut down. I didn't talk about it. I was just so embarrassed. And so, I just kept it to myself. But I thought if I could start talking to more people that were in their journey and willing to talk about it, maybe it would give some comfort to, other people going through it, that it's not, you're not broken. You shouldn't be embarrassed. Things. So I thought, I'm just going to start reaching out to a few and just, and I know you've talked about it. So I thought, what a great place to start.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate it because, overall, I know your story because of your application.
Yeah.
Obviously for the grant that we're giving out tomorrow. And, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that struck me with your application is I can feel your faith behind it. And it was something that I struggled with during my journey. It was really hard for me to keep my faith first. When it was just, I felt like I was getting hit every single time I turned around, I was hitting the floor. So, I felt your faith through your application. And so I just thought it would be a great place to start talking to you guys and telling your story and how have you been through, just what you both have been through all of this, and kept going.
Well, Kara, I can definitely say, and I know Willie feels the same way. It's like this journey has been like, oh my gosh, there's ups and downs and sideways, but my faith hasn't always, I say my faith has always been there, but I haven't been this strong. So 7 years ago, we've been doing this for 7 years. Oh my gosh. We can look back and I can see how far I've grown. I see how far Willie has grown, not just individually, but as a couple, knowing who we are, our identity in Christ, in Jesus Christ. So I can go back as far as 7 years ago. Well, actually 2011, when I met him and we actually met at work. And Lord, just thinking about today, about what this call was going to be about, I started thinking about how we actually met and how God was all in that, just the way we met on a sports court, and Willie approached me and asked me if I needed some help. And then we just clicked, we became the best of friends. We worked out together. We spent all our time together. And then he started liking me and had crush on me and then chasing me, and I ran and ran and ran. But I knew, even my mom knew, that he was somebody special and that we were supposed to be together. And so 2013, 2 years before we actually got married, we started wanting to, we were talking about having kids, and we're like, okay, so we have kids, and this is how naive you are going into this, right? So the way that you've always dreamed of is like, you get married or you meet somebody and you find out, okay, you want to have children, and as soon as you have relations, you're going to have a baby, you're going to be pregnant. So 1 month into us even trying, I did get pregnant. And it was like, okay, we're on the road, we're on the right track. And 5 weeks later, we found out it's a chemical pregnancy. Didn't even know what a chemical pregnancy was. Even though my mom had 7 miscarriages before they had me, I still didn't think we would have to endure what they did, right? And so that was devastating enough. We're going to go forward 11 months. It took us to get pregnant again. So 2014, we got pregnant again. This time, everything seemed like it was going great. We were at our 8 weeks. I think we were 8 weeks, and then found out, and think about this, 7 to 8 weeks of you being pregnant. We didn't have ultrasounds to see if the baby was in the uterus. We didn't even know anything about that. We just knew, we take a pregnancy test, I'm pregnant, I schedule an OBGYN appointment, and they see you closer to your first trimester date, somewhere around then. Found out that I started bleeding and went to the doctor. And even then the nurse like, it's okay, that's normal. But in my mind, I knew something wasn't normal about this. Found out it was an ectopic pregnancy, and had gotten to the 7.5 weeks. And we waited till 8 weeks before they actually gave us the methotrexate to see if it was going to kind of dissolve on its own. And they wanted to locate it first, but that didn't happen. And they knew that that tube was going to end up rupturing if we didn't do something, right? So we had to go ahead and have the surgery. Not the surgery, the injection. But even during that time, I was just asking God, like, why is this happening to us? Like, what did we do to make this happen? Like, I kept blaming myself over and over again, thinking about my past, thinking about something maybe I've done, maybe since we weren't married yet. Is this the reason why we're not getting, everything that you can think of, my thoughts went there. Willie, of course, was just as supportive as he can be, but for me, it was like, this is not happening to you, your body, this is happening to me, and I felt like I was responsible for this. And the methotrexate, it did resolve the pregnancy, so we thought. Then that happened in August. In December of 2014, we thought we were pregnant again, but the pregnancy hormone had not gotten all the way down to a negative. And so then we went to an RE, which is when I met Dr. Bailey, and ended up having to make the decision to remove the tube because the pregnant tissue was still there. So we had to go ahead and remove that tube, and we wanted to go ahead and do that before we actually got married, which was going to be March of 2015. So the beginning of January was the beginning of a year. That was like 5 years ago. But in January of 2015, that really started our journey. So we had that tube removed. We got married. We was able and blessed to receive a raffle, an IVF raffle, for a free transfer out of Chicago. So of course we're like really excited. Okay, this is going to work. IVF is going to work. The first time, never even thought anything of this before any research of anything that was going on. And we got married. We moved into a new house. We bought a house and moved into the house. We were so excited. And then we never even had a honeymoon because our funds went straight to IVF medicines and transfers and all, and trying to travel back and forth from Memphis to Chicago. So we get to Chicago, we have the IVF transfer, retrieval, and gosh, just thinking about like the whole process was just like, I didn't know what in the world I was doing. He didn't know what we were in for.
It was like we thought we had the best doctor in the world. He did his part, but turns out it just didn't take.
So, and that wasn't supposed to happen, Kara. That like, when you have IVF, that's supposed to work. In my mind, that's supposed to work, right? The moment that we knew, we transferred two blasts, 2 embryos, and we froze 4 out of the 12 eggs that we got. And when I remember, it was a Sunday, and I sat on the couch, and I was scared to take a pregnancy test because that Monday we were supposed to have the pregnancy test done in the office, and it came back negative. And I was just shocked, like, how can that be negative when I just had IVF? And knowing what I know now, you can't put all your faith into a process, right? It is a medical procedure. It's not a guarantee. Nothing about fertility and having children is a guarantee. And what I would tell anybody now is to you go in hopeful and you still have faith, right? But you also, this process robs you of any, like, just being able to have, like, not have worry. It robs you of that. I don't care if it's your first loss or it robs you of it, because once you do get pregnant, you still have a path. Okay, now I got to go through these medications and injections, and I had to go through ultrasounds, then I had to go through more blood work, and it's a constant struggle. And even after we have children, it's still going to be a worry because we're worried about the children. Let's see, where was I? Oh, so then we do the transfer, that didn't take, and we end up transferring again, 2 embryos at a time. In 2016, we got pregnant with our twin babies, and oh my gosh, that's exactly what we've been praying for, is boy-girl twins. And the numbers were like tripling and everything was looking great. Unfortunately, we lost one, I think about 5 weeks. And then the second we lost at 8.5 weeks. We did get the baby genetically tested to see if anything was wrong, if the baby had any chromosomal issues, and it did not. And at that point, we decided not to even see what the gender was. Just could not take that. Just could not. I didn't want to know, because it didn't matter at that point, because we didn't have the baby in our arms, and that was the end result, is to have that baby in our arms. So again, at that point, I felt broken. I felt lost. I felt, how can I give my husband something that he wants, something that we both desire? Again, what is wrong with me? We did have testing done, and it was found that nothing is wrong with his sperm, but I have a history of lupus, which also goes with sometimes the antiphospholipid antibodies. And then I also have a genetic abnormality, which I'm here and there's nothing wrong with me, but the, inversion of chromosome 9, so which causes miscarriages. And so that's why we really should be having genetic testing to eliminate some of those possible miscarriages. Again, we know that with genetic testing, still not a guarantee, right? It could go either way. But anyway, so that's what happened in 2016. So we lost the twins. We wanted to try again. I would not let it go. I'm like, Willie, we have to try it again. Let's just please try IVF one more time. And we put all of our funds into it.
Here, right?
Yeah, here. And like you said the other day on the call, like you want it so bad, but then I think I wanted it so bad, I picked the wrong facility. The doctor was so sweet, but I knew that like when we walked in there, it was just, I don't think this is it, but I wanted to have that hope. I had that hope of like, it can still work. We're going to pray. We're going to have faith. We're going to have our prayer partners with us and walk us through this. We get to the transfer. It was just downhill from that morning on. I think we had 6 embryos. The day of the transfer, it was only 4. The 2 that we transferred were the best 2, which still weren't a good choice. And the other 2 we were going to wait on to see if we can have a frozen cycle. And the really reason that we wanted to go through this facility is because they used ARC, which it could be like a buy one and then your second transfer. If you have embryos left, then that would be at no cost. But we didn't have any embryos left. So we transferred those 2. They did not take. And it was just not a good cycle. And so at that point, the enemy was just playing with my thoughts. And like, I put us in more debt. Now we're going to be having to deal with all of this, all of the financial issues. It was just a lot to deal with financially, a lot to deal with emotionally, a lot to just deal with everything. And on top of that, like we were still strong together, but it was like we were separating ourselves. We were like overwhelming ourselves with other things to do. We weren't having our time together anymore. Even though we were going to church and serving, we weren't serving each other. And so one thing out of all of this is I asked God, I'm like, okay, Lord, now I need to focus on what you want for me, not only personally or individually, but as his wife, but also as your daughter. What is it that I'm supposed to do with all of this? What am I supposed to learn in all of this? Because I can't be going through all of this. I'm missing something. I'm trying and striving too hard, and I'm not seeing the bigger picture. And so Willie and I talked, and I said a prayer before all of this happened. He doesn't even know about that yet. But 2017, 2018, 2019, 3.5 years, we did not get pregnant. Those were the hardest 3.5 years of not hearing anything. No, yeah, go ahead.
Because when we work and people always come to, hey, when y'all gonna have some kids? Or Willie, what the little soldiers?
Yes.
And it's like they don't even know the story. They're trying to be funny, but not positive. Yeah. And it's like you can't really say anything but just smile and just walk away.
I think that's the hardest thing, is someone telling you, okay, you may not be doing it right. And we've heard everything, and I'm sure you know that. It's just like everything that you hear, one, is more personal than anything. And then the second thing is you're just wrong. What gives you the right to say these things to someone? Even though you don't know, we have to watch what we say to people, because that will really affect their psyche. It affects their emotions. It affects everything about what their situation is. So we did not get pregnant in that time. And during that time, we did just try to do things that we would like to do. But in 2019, I prayed to God. I'm like, I need my husband back. I need our marriage back, our friendship back, because we kind of lost that. I felt like we were getting to where we were more, not just roommates, but we were passing each other. Even though we were here, he was working 3 jobs. I was just stressed out at work. It was not a good environment. And so I asked God, I said, we need time together. We need time with you. And that included not serving so much at church. And so then the pandemic happened. And so
there you go. You wanted time.
We had all the time in the world together. No, going to church. We were riding to work together, which was amazing. I felt like I got my best friend back. I felt like I got my husband back. We were connecting in a way that I don't think we've ever really connected before. And before you bring a child into a situation, a child into your household, our relationship has to be strong. And this year, out of all the years we've been married, it's every year our relationship gets stronger and stronger. But this year it has been, whoo, I don't know what I would do without him. God knows what he's doing. That's all I can say. And so in March, everything just kind of, everything changed. And I would say that it changed for the better. Even though we went through a lot of hardship this year, I would not change anything that happened this year. And the reason is because I have gotten stronger in my relationship with not just my husband, but with my Father in heaven. I know who I am and I know whose I am. I know my identity. I know what he has promised me. And it's not in a procedure, it's in what he has for me is for me, right? But in April, late April, we got pregnant with our little miracle baby, and we were so excited, Kira. Oh my gosh, it was just like 3.5 years of waiting, 3.5 years of wilderness. I felt like we were just, I don't know what, when we gave it everything over to God, we got pregnant. Like, I remember seeing things on Instagram where people were saying, okay, there's gonna be a lot of babies in December because a lot of people are spending time together. Well, in that moment, I didn't know I was pregnant, but I felt like a stab in my heart because I'm like, you can't say that. It's not that easy for everyone. But anyway, we got pregnant and we were enjoying every moment, making plans like everybody does when they get pregnant.
You don't want to tell nobody, just want to keep the secret.
No, we wanted to share, we wanted to dig deep, but have this be our secret. Like, really just love the moment and be in the everyday, be in that moment. Oh gosh. And then, of course, since my history, I was going back and forth to the doctor every week. And unfortunately, Willie could not be there with me since the clinics were only for the patients and all the cautionary safety things that were going on. So I would bring pictures home every week. Every week went great. On the 8th week, May 19th, was the day that my whole life went just downhill. That's when the ultrasound tech that she could not hear, there wasn't a heartbeat. And when she said it, I'm like, no, I'm not hearing her say this again. I'm not hearing this. And she said it again, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I remember the touch on my knee, her hand on my knee. She said, Sonia, I am so sorry. And so I got dressed and went into one of the consultation rooms to wait for Dr. Bailey. And then still at that moment, I think I had called you. I think I had called Willie and told him what they said. And he, I remember Willie not really saying anything. He said, are you sure? Maybe something else is wrong. I was like, I don't know, but let me just wait. Because in that moment, I started the process of grief and the process of mourning because I was in total denial. I don't care what anybody said. And even then, I told Dr. Bailey, I was like, I don't believe that. I believe that in 2 more days, you're going to see this, you're going to hear this baby's heartbeat. And everyone is going to see the goodness of God, and it's going to be amazing. I would not believe that there was no heartbeat. So when I went home, I was thinking about it, but not really believing what was going on. And Willie was so sad, and I'm like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. That Thursday, it's like everything that happened on a Thursday. That Thursday went back, and of course it was not a heartbeat. And I kind of broke down in the room with Dr. Bailey. And of course, I just couldn't believe that God, in that moment, in that moment, the thought that came was, I could not believe that God did this again. How come he didn't take care of our baby? How come he allowed this to happen again? Like, this was supposed to be our miracle baby. He gave us this baby. Why is this happening? Why? I don't understand what's going on. And so we went ahead and, the whole process of scheduling the DNC, had to have a COVID test before all of that. And we ended up having the DNC the day after Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, all of, even the heartache did not really set in. It was just really, I could not believe what we were going through again. And Willie was just really upset. You could see it on his face. And I'm like, I'm not feeling that. Like, I'm not feeling that, because I'm still thinking, like, maybe I still have hope that God can revive this baby, right? Get into the morning of the DNC, and we're in the truck and we're praying because, of course, he couldn't go in there in the surgery center with me at all, which was the hardest thing to face. When we walked through the door, and I walked to the door, and Willie gave me a goodbye kiss, I just wanted to fall into the floor. Like, how in the world could I go in this room knowing that I won't have my baby anymore, and then my husband is not here with me? So I went on in, and everybody was so nice. I just remember they were just like, we're going to get you through this, and you're going to be back home before you know it. That wasn't the going back home wasn't it. Something is leaving me, and a part of me is gone, and you're taking that. I remember when I woke up from the anesthesia, I was crying and scratching my eyes, saying, just give me my baby back. And that will never, ever leave my memory, because I remember the nurse saying, stop scratching your eyes, put your hands down. And I was like, and that was the first time I'd known that they put something on your eyes when you're anesthesia. But anyway, it was itching really bad, but I just knew I just wanted my baby back. Like, I knew something was gone. And so Willie picked me up, and I was still okay. I think you stayed 2 days with me. I think he was off work 2 more days, and then he went back to work. The morning of him going back to work is when everything in this house was so dark. It was raining outside. My soul was dark. The whole atmosphere was just dark. And I woke up that morning, got out of bed, went to the bathroom mirror, and I noticed that my stomach was significantly flat. And that's when I broke down, and I let out this scream, this cry that I have never heard come from my body. And I cried and sobbed and screamed and did everything that you could think of that whole day. There was no stopping. One thing that I have to say, Kara, is that Willie and I are, I'm more of a control person than he is. But in this moment, in this season, we know that there is no control, right? Like, you can't control anything, and not being able to control the situation and fix it. Him not being able to fix it is the hardest thing for him. Me not being able to control it is the hardest thing for me. Mm-hmm. So in that whole moment, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, God, why did you allow this to happen? And I remember laying on the baby room floor, which our baby room is our prayer room as well. And so I laid on that floor, and I screamed and cried. And what I got from God telling me was, I asked him, I said, why is this happening to you? And plain as day, he said, why not? And that, at that moment, it made me stop crying. But I was still very upset, but I heard him like I've never heard him before. And when he says, why not? He allowed this to happen so I can reach somebody else and help somebody else. Everything that we have gone through, we would not be able to help whoever he puts in front of our path if we had not gone through it. That makes it worthwhile. That makes this journey, this season that we're in, not only just about me, not only about Willie, but the people that God is trying to reach. Did you want to say something? Because I can keep on going.
Yeah, you really talked about the last one.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
She's not done yet. Hang
Oh,
on.
no. This is a long journey. And so through that whole moment, when you were talking about women feeling like they're broken, I felt like I was broken, but I had to be broken in order to get that breakthrough. So in our church always comes up with different words for the year, and like a lot of churches and a lot of people before the beginning of the year. In 2019, I couldn't think of a word. So I said, okay, Lord, just give me a word. And it was breakthrough. To me, in 2019, the end, I was thinking more like a breakthrough financially, a breakthrough materialistic way, right? And now I know it wasn't a breakthrough that way. It was a breakthrough spiritually. And so we had to be broken. I had to get all the way down and be broken all the way down in order for God to move in my life the way he needed to move, in order for me to actually have a breakthrough and to see that he really, really, really loves me and he created me the way I am. And it's really funny how I used to think that I wasn't worth anything because of mistakes that I've made or where I am in life and didn't finish college. All of those things play a part on that. And I think back to like how my dad used to say, well, since you didn't finish Rhodes College, you're probably not going to get a good job. But thinking about where I started and where I am now from 2001 to now, I just constantly grew and moved up. People always like, you have a degree. I don't have a degree. I have certifications, but I'm a manager of this facility. I'm a manager of these things. And I didn't do that. God did that. Like, I think we forget as people that when we go to school and we do all these things, it's not us that is doing that. It's, yes, he's given us the wisdom, but it's him that's making these things happen. And so, get through that season of brokenness and depression. I can definitely say that I know what it feels like for someone to be so broken and so depressed that they don't have a way, they don't feel like they could go another day. I know what that actually feels like, to feel like that you have no other reason to live. And in that moment is when I started going through and reading books by Lisa Turkhurst. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way, reading different devotions and just really seeking God and what he wanted me to do. So June 1st came around. So all this happened in May. June 1st came around and we had to wait a few weeks for everything to, the pregnancy hormones to go back to negative and all that good stuff. The end of June, finally stopped spotting and we were cleared, pelvic rest was over and all that good stuff. Yeah. So never knew when I had ovulated. Never knew any of that. We stopped. Like,
it's 23 days.
Yeah. It's like, what? That never. We never paid attention anymore of when the ovulation. That just got to be a
headache.
Yeah, much better. Yeah. It's just too much. So July came around, and July the 2nd, I actually thought I was having my first start of a period, but I spotted for 23 days. And I kept in touch with my doctor and like, well, maybe that's normal. Your body's getting regulated again. No, we were pregnant again.
She didn't believe that she was. And I was like, you are? I said, well, when I get through working out at the gym, I'm gonna stop by Dollar Tree and get a pregnancy test.
I didn't want to take the test. I just didn't want to take the test because I'm like, it's no reason to take the test. I'm not pregnant. And Dr. Bailey and the nurse was like, Sonia, just take the test. We're gonna rule that out. And then you come in. Yeah, I'm like, but there's no need of me taking the test. So I took the test that morning of the 22nd. And it was a cheapie, a Dollar Tree cheapie, and it was blaringly positive.
She didn't believe in it, so before she went to work, she went to walk.
I need to see the word. Like, cannot be right. And so we take the test. I call him, and he's talking about, I didn't believe, he didn't believe it either. I'm in the bathroom at work and I call him. I was like, it's positive. He said, I still don't believe it. I was like, what? It says it's positive. And so, of course, I call the doctor. We go the whole journey again. Everybody is so excited for us at the doctor's office, like giving me hugs, like, oh my gosh, Sonia, if anything happens, it's got to be you because your body just does whatever it wants to do. I said, clearly it does. So we go in, we have an ultrasound, we see a gestational sac, we see the beginnings of a fetal pole. We don't see a baby, but it's measuring 5 weeks, 4 days. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then we were thinking like, well, wait a minute. We couldn't even remember when we couldn't even remember the last time we even had sex because it just didn't make sense. It from the time that we stopped spotting to the time that we started again, it just didn't make sense. But anyway, here we go again. The next morning, I wake up, everything was fine. I was no pain, no anything. We drove separately. No, we drove together to work, again on a Thursday morning. And about 9 o'clock, I just started having these horrible pains. I thought maybe it was gas or something, or maybe the vitamins that I took without eating anything. I just didn't know what it was, but it progressively gotten worse within 15 minutes. And so I was doubled over at my desk and I'm like, I can't stay here and manage anybody if I'm in this much pain. So I called Willie and I asked him like, hey, I need you to probably take me home. And then he wasn't moving fast enough. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll take myself home and then I'll come back and get you later on when you get off work. He said, okay. So I started walking down, getting my stuff, my laptop and, the things of that nature. And I walked down the stairs and I'm having the hardest time walking. It felt like my uterus was just coming out of me. It was just the grace of God. It was just him that got me from where I am on the 3rd floor down to the garage because I really felt like I was going to pass out. And so by the time I got to the garage, Willie calls me and asked me where I was. And I told him, he said, okay, I'm on my way and I'll just take you home. I said, okay. At this time, I called my doctor's office and left a message, asked for them to call me as soon as possible. I get in the truck, Willie gets in the truck, and I just felt really sick to my stomach. And I'm a very, very particular person. And so I don't want any type of bodily fluids on me or anybody. So I knew I needed to throw up, to vomit. Maybe that would help, but I knew I didn't want Willie to see me vomit, and I didn't want to vomit in the truck, and I didn't want to vomit in the garage. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I couldn't hold it, and it went everywhere. I felt a little bit better, but it was still so much pain, physical pain from the top of my sternum down to my pelvic area. Any bump that he hit on the way home was just sending me to the roof of the vehicle. So get home and he gets me on the bed and I told him, I said, go ahead and go back to work. I'll be okay. I'm waiting for the doctor to call me. Willie left. At that point, I started Googling. I went to Dr. Google and I thought maybe it was appendicitis. Maybe I have a bladder infection. Maybe it's just a very bad bout of gas. I didn't know what was going on. And so it could not, in my mind, never thought it could be an ectopic pregnancy because I just got pregnant out of that one tube. So it couldn't have been that, right? So I called every doctor I could that I had in my Rolodex. I called my OBGYN. I called my PCP. I'm still waiting on Dr. Bailey's office to call me. And so after Dr. Bailey, her nurse, Gracie, called me and she said, well, she wants you to just go to the ED just to get checked out, have in and make sure everything's okay. I said, okay. Called my husband. He wasn't moving fast enough or couldn't get to me fast enough. And I knew at that point I needed to get to the ED. So I called my mom and she was not closer to me and both of them were going to be closer to the hospital than they were to me. And so I just went ahead, put my pants on. And then that's when I noticed that my stomach was really swollen. And I couldn't fasten my pants. So I put on some yoga pants, put my shoes on, I staggered to our truck and I climbed in and drove myself to the ED. And as much so much pain. It started raining on the way there. And this is only, about 10 minutes away from our house. I get to the ED, and at that point, I remember grabbing my umbrella and getting out of the truck and headed to the entrance of the emergency room. And Carol, when I tell you, when I got out of the truck, I was fighting more than just my pain. I was fighting against the wind of the rain. I was fighting against gravity, because at that point, I really thought I was going to just fall out on the concrete. And I knew at that point also that the only way that I was going to get in there, I just kept praying, God, just get me in and get me seen, because I knew I needed to be seen immediately. I get to the ED doors and I open it up and I see all these people sitting in the waiting room. And I'm like, I can't wait. I cannot wait. The young lady who was at the desk asked me to sit down 3 times within 10 minutes. And every time she asked me to sit down, I got right back up. And I said, I can't wait any longer, because I'm about to pass out on this floor. And it was just that bad of pain. I can take a lot of pain, but this was unbearable. When they did get me into the chair to take my vitals, it was 70/40, but it did take them 3 times to get my pressure. And that's when they started moving faster. They finally found an area. Long story short, after painful transvaginal ultrasound and abdominal ultrasound, they did find that it was fluid in my abdomen, which was indicative of internal bleeding. So they knew they needed me to get me into surgery, and they were thinking that, I'm sorry, we have a puppy over here. He needs attention. And so they were thinking that it was in my right nub of the tube, since that was already removed. Since the bleeding was on the right side. But when they did get me into emergency surgery, they found out it was the left tube. And they had to take the tube and the pregnancy, of course, because the tube had ruptured. Had blood transfusion, loss of a lot of blood. But one thing that I tell everybody is, when I woke up, I was not sad. I was not upset. I had this joy on the inside, this peace that was unreal. When Willie told me that they took my tube,
Your mom thought she was gonna be real upset.
And I should have been upset. Right? I mean, anybody, they should be upset, but I was not upset, because
he said it was either the tube or your life.
Exactly. And so when that was said to me, that was a testament of how good God is, because if I had laid on that bed any longer, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you. Willie would have come home to me not being alive anymore. And that right there told me that God chose me, that He has a plan for our life. He has a plan for my life. And I'm not going to allow this to get me down anymore. And I'm going to allow Him to use my pain for a purpose, because that's what He's doing. That is exactly what He's doing. So 7 years ago, I couldn't tell you, I couldn't be this way. I couldn't smile. I could not actually be in the moment of saying, and I know this is not Him, because I know the desires that we have, and I know what He's told me, that we're going to have children. But if He were not to give us children in the way that I feel, the way we feel, I would be okay, because I know how good He is, and I know His plan for us is going to be even better than what we can imagine or think. Because since that day, everything has just seemed like it's just in order. The way things have been moving, or the way things has manifested, it's just, I can't even explain it. He is just so good. And to be able to sit here and tell everybody how good He is and why He is good, it's just amazing to me. And I'm so glad that He did choose me. That's why I said I would never change this year, because I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned about who I am. I know that's a long story.
No.
She's learned to do things that makes her happy, not everybody else.
Yeah. Which you have to do that. And, you know, I heard you say earlier, you know, Willie wants to fix it. Willie wanted to fix it. And, you know, my husband was very much that way when we were going through it. He just, men want to fix it. They just, tell me what I need to do. Tell me who I need to talk to, what I need to go do, what loan I need to take out. Like, just tell me how to fix it. And it's just not that simple. It's not, you know, and when people haven't experienced it, I think it's hard for people to truly empathize, and they say really stupid things. And I don't usually think, for the most part, it's out of anything except just truly wanting to help and not knowing what to say. So I don't know I mean, this is what I mean by just, you know, your faith coming through, and because it just was so hard for me. You know, it was just, I didn't understand. Now I understand, because now I have the foundation and now the advocacy work, and I'm like, okay, I could have never gone through those things. I could have never truly empathized and truly tried to make a difference if I didn't understand what it was like to be on that side. You know, I'd always said I'm so thankful. I don't know what it's like to have ever had a miscarriage. I never had a miscarriage, and you know, so I couldn't really truly empathize with anybody about that. And then I had a miscarriage in January, out of nowhere. I mean, out of, you know, our kids they were 6.5 years old. So
Kara, this past January?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
So I had a DNC right before the tornado hit here. So it was, you know, it's 2020 hasn't been a great year for a lot of things. But it's, you know, but I am able to look at things now and say, okay, I understand now. I understand that I had to understand how it felt, and truly, you know, because I went into our first IVF just like you guys did. I mean, you know, we had 4 IUIs that didn't work, and we finally said, okay, well, we can afford 1 IVF. And I thought, what do you mean just 1? That's all we need. Why would we?
See?
Fine. Like, of course. I told everybody. I told everybody about our IVF, because I just thought it was like, of course, I mean, it's IVF. Why wouldn't this work? And, you know, I remember coming out of it feeling just destroyed, because it didn't work. And how did I, not only do I have to explain that to my husband, but I had to explain it to my friends and family that I had told we were doing this. And it was just, layer on top of layer on top of layer, feeling like a failure. And so that's why I love, you know, after that I shut down, and I just wasn't strong enough to have that conversation, because I didn't know myself, you know, and I had to get past that. So anybody who shares their story is just you're just such a hero to me, because you're still in the trenches, you're still going through it, and yet your faith is still there, and you're still willing to talk to people and share that journey out loud with them. So I just really, truly love you guys, and I really appreciate you guys doing this, because I know it will reach somebody. I know it will.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to speak to a young lady who I think she's about 35, but she's a director at Methodist over oncology services. And I wasn't going to call the whole long story short, I was supposed to call her back last week, and just been really busy dealing with preparing for presentations, and just hadn't had the opportunity. So Wednesday, I stopped what I was doing and called her. And I was so thankful I did, because she is actually pregnant and has been, I think she's 20 weeks pregnant. And she's been having some thoughts like she's not worthy enough to be pregnant because she's not married yet. And she's living with her boyfriend, but she has this great career. And out of nowhere, you know, this one of the Holy Spirit, I just started praying with her and praying for her. I'm like, this child that you're bringing in the world, God doesn't look at you being not married. This is the plan, and this may be the plan for this child. So let's pray over you and the baby. And our whole conversation was about oncology patients having their teeth extracted before they have radiation. And so that lasted 2 minutes. Everything else was just giving God the glory of where we were in that moment. And we talked a whole hour a whole hour where she was just crying on the phone, just hearing our story and where we are. And she's like, you're over here praying for us and you're wanting the same thing we want. I said, yeah, and we're going to get that. But in this moment, he has me talking to you. And so being able to confidently and doing it when God wants me to do it, that has been a breakthrough for me.
So I have this devotional that I read called Jesus.
Yeah.
So today, it's funny because you just said that. So today, the devotional says, look to me continually for help, comfort, and companionship, because I am always by your side. The briefest glance can connect you with me. When you look to me for help, it flows freely from my presence. This recognition of your need for me in small matters as well as in large ones keeps you spiritually alive. When you need comfort, I love to enfold you in my arms. I enable you not only to feel comforted, but also to be a channel through whom I comfort others.
Yes, yes.
Is that not like...
That's it.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
Crazy. So, sorry, I really did not mean to like keep you on the phone this long.
I know, I'm sorry. It's what?
No,
6:18.
You're fine. I'll probably cut it down a little bit before I post it. But that's okay. My heart is just with you guys, and you're in my prayers, and
Thank you.
I know there's something great out there, and you guys are the best. So I really appreciate it. I love that you're in the group. Before we go, I have a $10,000 check for Dr. Bailey for your
what?
IVF cycle.
Oh my gosh, God is so good. Oh, oh my gosh, Kara.
It's not me. It's not me.
Oh.
I might want to give you some coffee.
This
It's all night.
This is a very special grant called the Michael Grant. And his mom, I never knew Michael, but his mom, Debbie, is a very, very dear friend. And ever since Michael passed away, every year for her birthday, she does something. She gives back in memory of him. And so last year, even though she has 6 children of her own, she had heard a story of infertility and wanted to give back. So this is what she did. She threw this big dinner party and event, and all of the proceeds came to Starfish in the form of grants. So I gave out, so we're giving out the Michael Grant right now. And I just, so much of you that in your application was her. You two could get together and you two would just talk for hours.
Wait. She has 6 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we have six babies in heaven.
When we first met, I told her that I want a lot of kids because I have 5 brothers.
So do I. So yes, so you remind me a lot of her, and I thought, what? She is one of those forces of nature when it comes to her faith. With everything she's been through and the loss of her son and everything, she just praises him and gives back and continues to praise him for his goodness. And it's hard for me to understand that because I don't feel like I walked that path. And so when I meet somebody like you guys are just so much like that. And I just thought, the whole team, I was like, I don't know anybody else that would be more perfect for this grant, and everybody's great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're gonna get these babies.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I'm glad we could do this.
Please share this with her.
I will. Oh no, I definitely will. She's gonna love this. Like she will. She'll love this.
Good.
We aren't announcing anything until tomorrow, so
Okay.
don't announce anything. I mean,
I won't.
if you want, but just don't, put it out
No.
there. But yeah, I'll get with you guys later and Dr. Bailey and, just in the check and whatnot, but hopefully that takes care of a nice large chunk for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's going to hear about this all night.
That's what I said. I'm going to get some coffee ready.
Put on some coffee. All right, you guys. Love you both. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.